The year was 1870 on the dusty roads of Bengal. Oil lanterns flickered in houses. No CCTV cameras, no forensic labs, and nobody even knew the concept of serial killer. Yet, behind the closed doors of Kolkata home, history was about to be made. This was the beginning of India's first female serial killer, a tale that emerged from a pond, a mask, and a sinister promise. Go to the Baba, people whispered. She will solve all your problems. Young women would visit her willingly, but none ever returned. Outwardly, she appeared humble and innocent, but beneath that facade lay a cunning, calculating mind. Her targets? Vulnerable women, broken, lonely, or struggling. She would befriend them emotionally, gaining their trust before leading them to their doom. The fake Baba's promise? All your troubles will vanish. For many desperate women, this false hope sealed their fate. One evening, she lured her own friend with the same lie. Your suffering ends today. Guiding her to the pond, the woman removed her clothes and jewelry before stepping into the water. Then, in a flash, Trilokia, the killer, struck. She gripped the woman's head from behind, forcing her underwater with brutal strength. The victim thrashed, but the water swallowed her struggles. Within seconds, silence fell. Calmly, Trilokia gathered the jewelry and clothes. As if nothing had happened, this was India's first female serial killer. Yet what you've heard so far is just the surface. The real story? Far darker, far more twisted. Let's rewind to where it all began. Life had become a prison, not just within the walls of her home, but in society itself. At such a tender age, she had no support, no solace. Trapped between crushing loneliness and relentless disrespect, she ached for escape. Then, a seemingly kind-faced woman entered her life. This woman claimed to understand Tarni's pain, slowly earning her trust. Little did Tarni know this would be her gravest mistake. The woman whispered promises. Come to Kolkata. We'll find work there. A fresh start. But the bitter truth? The woman was linked to a human trafficking ring, and Tarni was sold outright to Sanagachi, Kolkata's most notorious red light district. No longer Tarni. She was now Trilokia, a new name, a new identity. For the first time, someone had put a price on her. By 1868, Trilokia was 25 or 26, her beauty and demeanor setting her apart from the others. She wasn't submissive like the typical girls there. Clients returned for her, drawn by her allure. She amassed gold swiftly, no longer a victim but the brothel's top earner. Yet, beneath the glittering surface, her soul was hollow. Then she met a boy, not a customer, just a worker passing through. Their conversation sparked hope. He spoke of escape, of selling her jewels to open a shop, of a simple life, marriage, children, happiness. For the first time, someone saw beyond her body. By late 1869, Trilokia was utterly devoted to him. She handed over her treasures, jewelry, savings, even her trust. Together, they fled without a backward glance. She dreamed of becoming his wife. He dreamed only of betrayal. Days later, he sold her to another brothel. When the truth struck, it shattered her. This wasn't just pain. It was venom, seeping into her veins. Love was a lie. And she would weaponize that lie. By 1870, history repeated itself. The same lover sold her again. But this time, fate led her to Black Babu, a middle-aged Bengali man whose wife had long passed, leaving behind a son green. Outwardly, Black Babu seemed stern but respectable. In truth, a petty thief and a brute. Trilokia and Black Babu's bond? Less romance, more ruthless partnership. Both craved money, nothing else mattered. Soon, Trilokia, Black Babu, and Green moved into a small rented house, with a separate room for their business. Now, Trilokia's life had one purpose: revenge. Drugs laced her victims' drinks. The man lay unconscious as Black Babu entered with his accomplices. For months, they continued their plunder, but every scheme has an expiration date. Slowly, rumors of their scam spread, disrupting their operations. Yet, Trilokia was no longer the timid girl she once was. She had transformed into a ruthless woman who played by her own rules. Adapting swiftly, Trilokia and Black Babu shifted tactics, entering the next phase of their deception. They recruited a young, attractive girl from the brothel, crafting a false identity for her. They fabricated a tragic backstory, posing as her grieving parents, and arranged her marriage into a wealthy family in a nearby village. Following Bengali customs, the wedding was a grand affair. A week later, the bride pleaded to visit her parents. Trusting her, the in-laws sent her off with jewelry and gifts. The moment she left with Trilokia and Black Babu, all three vanished without a trace. This scheme was repeated 4 or 5 times, each time with a new name, a new girl, and a new village, but the same script. The police were ineffective, lacking concrete evidence, and by the time suspicions arose, it was too late. By 1872, Trilokia and Black Babu realized their fake marriage scam was unsustainable. They had been nearly caught multiple times, and villagers were beginning to recognize them. It was time to find a safer, more profitable venture. Their new target? Vulnerable girls from poor families, those whose parents desperately sought work for their daughters in the city. Under the guise of kindness, Trilokia lured them with sweet words and false promises. Your daughter will work in a respectable home, free lodging, free food. The harsh reality? These girls were sold into Sanagachi's red light district. Some were even trapped in sham marriages, only to become unpaid laborers. Within 3 years, they had targeted over 15 girls. Families filed no missing reports. The police rarely acted on such cases. Then, in early 1874, Black Babu devised another scheme. This time, their mark was a local jewelry merchant. Black Babu placed a large order, requesting delivery to a remote location. When the merchant arrived, Black Babu refused payment, turned violent, and silenced him permanently. The body was buried beneath their rented house, a property leased solely for this purpose. Days passed without suspicion, until the merchant's disappearance prompted an investigation. When police dug up the house, the truth surfaced. The jewelry merchant's corpse was discovered with deep rope marks around his throat. The first time authorities suspected Trilokia of serious crime. Though Kali Babu was convicted and hanged in 1875, Trilokia walked free, as no direct evidence tied her to murder. Abandoned and alone, she felt life slip through her fingers once more. But this was no longer the broken girl of the past. She had learned 2 brutal lessons. Trust no one and take what you desire by force. Selling her remaining valuables, she rented a small, inconspicuous room in a seedy neighborhood and reinvented herself. This time, she posed as a spiritual healer, whispering to vulnerable women, "Come, child, a sacred dip in the holy waters will cleanse your sorrows." Her new hunting ground? The same shimmering pond where her killing spree began. Over 3 years, she lured 5 more victims, drowning them mid-prayer, then stealing their jewelry and clothes. But fate intervened on a chilling evening in 1878, when she targeted an old friend, a grief-stricken woman who begged, "Baba, heal my pain." As the woman placed her jewelry ashore and entered the water, an unseen witness lurked in the shadows, a man who'd alerted the police. Trilokia was arrested, but her performance was masterful. She shrieked false tears, spun wild stories, and with no concrete proof, the police released her. No witnesses, no case. Yet the game wasn't over. When she resumed her crimes, another victim escaped, leading to a second arrest. Astoundingly, she survived again, charges dismissed due to lack of evidence. As years passed, cases against her faded, and her story vanished into history's dark corners, a ghost of India's first female serial killer.